Hello, lovelies. If you are looking for a fresh, fast, and flavorful way to celebrate Meatless Monday this week, then you have come to the right place, because today I'm sharing this absolutely amazing red Thai peanut curry with sweet potatoes and chickpeas. And let me tell you, it is absolutely mouth-wateringly good and totally carnivore approved, at least according to my husband. To get started, I have got my nice big skillet heating up here on the stove, and I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit of coconut oil to that and let that coconut oil melt. If you don't have coconut oil, you could swap in some vegetable or some canola oil in this recipe. You've got lots of great options here. And just as soon as that coconut oil is melted, I'm going to go ahead and add some onion to my pan, as well as some sliced bell pepper. I'm just going to give these a little bit of a stir and let them cook away for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I want that onion to soften up a little bit and that bell pepper to soften up as well. Of course, the moment onion hits a pan, you know things are getting exciting because it starts to smell so good. And honestly, with this recipe, it is only going to get better. And just as soon as you start to see those onions become a little bit translucent, you know it's time to get in here with even more amazing flavor. I've got some minced garlic headed in here, as well as some freshly grated ginger, 2 of my very favorites. Now, because my pan is nice and hot, it's going to take no time for that garlic and that ginger to become nice and fragrant. And that is a good sign that it is time to add our next ingredient, which is some red curry paste. So you can usually find this in the international aisle at your supermarket. It's really flavorful. Now you could also use green curry paste in this recipe. It's a little bit spicier. It's got a slightly different flavor profile, but I think red is perfect in this recipe. We're just going to let our curry paste heat up for maybe another, say 30 seconds to a minute. That just helps it really intensify its flavor. And then it's time to start building in the rest of our sauce here. So I have got some coconut milk here. I'm using light in this recipe, but you could use full fat. It's totally up to you. I'm also going to be adding a good splash of vegetable broth to this, just to help add a little extra liquid, so we get a nice saucy sort of situation happening. I'm also going to be adding some peanut butter. Now, of course, if you have allergies in your house, you can skip the peanut butter in this recipe. But if you're a peanut butter lover, go ahead and add it. It really adds a really wonderful depth and dimension to the final flavor of the dish. And the last step for my sauce is going to be just a splash of tamari. You could also use regular soy sauce here or some coconut aminos if you want to, whatever you prefer. And then I'm basically just going to give this a quick stir, and I want to bring this to a simmer. I want to make sure that my peanut butter has dissolved and fully incorporated into the sauce, as well as the curry paste. And then we'll go ahead and add our amazing sweet potatoes. Just as soon as you start to see those bubbles breaking the surface, you can reduce your heat to medium and load in the rest of your ingredients, starting with some nice sweet potatoes. Here I've peeled them and diced them. I'm going to pile them into my skillet. I love sweet potatoes because of course they have great flavor and great texture, and they're full of great fiber. Speaking of fiber, our next ingredient is also packed with it. We're going to be adding some chickpeas to this. So I'm using some canned chickpeas here that have been rinsed and drained, and I'm just going to get them into my skillet as well. Now, if you wanted to get in here with some tofu or even some chicken or some shrimp, of course you totally could. But I love the idea of just the sweet potatoes and the chickpeas. I think it's such a nice complement. Basically, at this point, all we're going to do is reduce our heat to say medium, pop a lid on this and let it simmer away for between 8 and 10 minutes, just until your sweet potatoes are completely tender. As soon as those sweet potatoes are fully cooked, you can go ahead and add your finishing ingredients. In this case, I wanted to pump up the nutrition factor even more, so I'm adding some kale to this. I'm using frozen kale because it's just super convenient, and I always have some on hand in my freezer. You could definitely use fresh here or swap in some spinach instead. That would be really, really good. And we'll just stir that until it's heated through, which takes literally no time. It comes together in seconds. And then my final step, just to brighten everything up and add a little bit of freshness here, is going to be just a nice squeeze of lime juice. Just give that a big squeeze. And this yumminess is basically ready to serve. It's been on the stove for what, 15, maybe 20 minutes at the max, and it is oh so good. I'm going to be serving it up over a nice big bowl of rice, but you can serve it however you like. There's really no wrong answer. And I promise you, it's one of those dishes that will become an absolute fan favorite in your entire household. I hope you'll give this yumminess a try for yourselves. If you do, don't forget to tweet me, Instagram me, or Facebook me a photo because you know how much I love seeing your kitchen creations. Keep in mind, this recipe, like all of our recipes, is featured on healthymealplans.com, our amazing meal planning site that allows you to browse more than 1,000 recipes, drag and drop them into your weekly meal plan, and then automatically generates your grocery list for the week. If you haven't checked it out yet, I really hope you will. It's totally free to use and is sure to make your life so much easier. Thank you guys so much for watching. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe because there is lots more deliciousness where this came from.